Kuchisaki, wandering the streets of Japan and hiding her beautiful face. This legend right here is concealed in something not normally used by these scary type of individuals, a surgical mask and a beautiful woman. We'll get ready for a lot of that in this series because Kuchisaki is no different. This legend exploded in the 1970s, early, when the legend came from children who were walking home. Schools reportedly told students to travel in groups as rumors spread about the Kuchisaki. This lady appearing usually at night in the towns and small cities. Some stories claim that she carried a knife, others claim that she carried giant scissors. Whatever the sharp object, she could run at speeds unmatched by any other human or any other entity. What makes her appearance even more unsettling and terrifying is the surgical mask she wears. But what's underneath? Only the people who answered this question will know. She simply asks, "Am I beautiful?" If you answer yes, you'll be blessed. Good fortunes, good love life, things of this nature. You answer no. Kuchisaki pulls the sharp wooden thing that she has hidden right underneath her surgical mask, sometimes inside of her gown, and cuts you right there, dead on the spot. The Tiki Tiki. This vengeful and terrifying spirit was once a woman trapped on the side of a train, pushed by an unwilling stranger, thus having her body split in half. She also lived for an undetermined amount of time before dying slowly. Some argue that it was this moment where the spirit considered to throw its fit of rage and considered going into the afterlife to terrify the humans in late Japan. If she catches you, she slices your body in half. There's nothing else. She wants you to look exactly like she did. The most common version of the story is she was once a young woman who fell into the tracks. Now, only her upper body remains. She crawls through the cities, the trains, terrifying speed, using only her hands and elbows. Man, she must have some strong ass elbows, by the way, guys. Others treat her as a totally separate spirit, a whole different entity. Either way, the Tiki Tiki was once a lesson and is very silent. And if you hear something creeping behind you, well, some can only detect her by the dragging sound of her dress and her blouse late at night where she waits alone for the unsuspected. A woman with no lower half drags forward in a berserking rage, trying to catch you. And what makes her even more terrifying is the lightning speed in which she moves. People usually only see her and have about 2 to 3 seconds to react. The legend spread heavily through schools and word of mouth. The students told each other and talked, and the only warning that they can give each other before the Tiki Tiki arrived was the sound of screeching, the sound of a halting train, the sound of a dress or a blouse dragging fast and ferociously against the ground, or the warning that you have before you were cut in half by the Tiki Tiki. Some say just by simply hearing the story of the Tiki Tiki, some can summon her, making her appear in just a number of days. These little small details also solidified the way that the people believed, and the fear of a violent death and leave it behind hatred and vengeful spirits also taught the Japanese to stay close to each other and to be there no matter what the circumstances for one another. There's no magical castle, there's no ruins, nothing ancient about the Tiki Tiki, just a lady cut in half and who was definitely well and adapt and very quick, and she will catch you. No power bow. The name itself translates into the faceless ghost, gives you a great depiction of the spirit and the nature of this yokai. She's not a killer, well, not directly, but imagine that you walk over to a spirit and you're on a lake relaxing, and it turns to you slowly after starting a genuine conversation. You look over, a small glance, you see no eyes, there's no nose, There's no way it can talk back to you as it has no mouth. Just smooth, glossy, sometimes pale, sometimes all the way white skin. This yokai right here is great at psychological warfare. It entices fear and encourages fear within the subject. After glancing at the Nopara bow, people have been known to go clinically insane, slowly wiping their memory and everything until there's nothing left, kind of like Nopara bow's face. Others reveal certain things in small conversation, though this is strange because some note that Nopara bow doesn't have a mouth to converse. The story started all the way back in ancient Japan. A fisherman, he noticed that a woman was crying, floating. He walked up to her after parking his boat. The fisherman runs to a nearby shop to get some help. He listens, but he hears nothing. But he does hear a faint sound. The idea of Nopara Bow is that she once took over this fisherman, making him go mad and insane. The fisherman, who was once the renowned man, making plenty and harvesting plenty of food for the land that he once inhabited, had once gone insane after witnessing Nopara Bow claiming that she had shape shifting abilities, hence the mouth and her ability to speak to him. No one believed in his claims, and over time, the man began to go clinically insane. Some scholars connect them with other yokai, like Mujina, who we'll cover in another section, a supernatural creature said to disguise itself as faceless humans. The difference between these two is Napara Bo is strictly about psychological warfare. Seeing a blank face and a blank expression is unsettling on a normal human's face. Now imagine you have no expression to look at. Manto. Now, Manto is one of the most devilish, demonic spirits on this list, but he's also used as more of a representation, as the young children and the people who understand this legend often understand that he is purely a myth, though being shown in multiple Japanese films and anime. Most describe him as a spirited man, walking around in a red cape or a blue cape, depending on which one you see. Usually realizes after Manto presents one or two questions. If you answer red, Manto will slice you open, cutting everything inside of you, leaving all your clothes soaked in a violent red burst. Answering blue, well, you'd like to imagine that you escaped death, but instead, Manto chokes you, leaving your body there, draining you of all oxygen, draining you of everything inside of you, leaving you a pale blue color. Other extreme versions of him include things like the green color, where Manto takes you and rams you completely, dragging you out into the forest, which is very unknown for him, which means you must have pissed him off by not answering one of the first two colors. Yellow being another one of the colors, he will drown you inside of the toilet, typically a used toilet, hence, well, the color yellow. This spirit right here was also popular in keeping and maintaining the order inside of the schools by making sure the kids only went to the restroom for the allotted time. This dude doesn't haunt anything ancient. There isn't anything mysterious or any sacred tablets or scrolls to awaken Manto. Manto is everywhere, in all your bathrooms, in all of your restrooms. And ironically enough, he is one of the easiest yokai also to escape. To escape Manto, basically, you shut the hell up and you run out of that bathroom immediately, which is why this serves perfect in monitoring and keeping all of the kids from doing, random activities inside of the restroom. Back at Neko. Well, Neko is, well, I kind of, I knew the origin of that word thanks to Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't know if you know Neko, but anyway, this yokai is a Japanese folklore known to what happens, or it expresses what happens when a cat has been around too long. It adapts human qualities. It starts standing on two legs. It's not a normal animal anymore. It grows smarter than you. Perhaps cats live longer than us. And sometimes these damn things become supernatural, crazy. Bakaneko itself even means a monster cat or a change cat. Things that go along with this story is simply a cat that's lived way too many lives. If you look back in any of the modern films, mysteriously there's always a cat who's able to talk and knows a little bit more than it should. It can speak the human language. Also, kind of like Nepal Rabo, has the ability to shapeshift, control corpses or the dead, creating zombie like apertures, or curse entire households with just simply walking by. Some stories describe it as dancing while wearing a towel on its head. Some describe it as a cat like shadow or spirit that is known to hover and leave curses wherever it goes. Its legends are connected heavily and deeply in death. Rooted in all things horror, this yokai became known for its silent, stealthy, and its unpredictability. At night, their eyes glowing. Everything's red, which symbolizes that you know that this isn't a normal cat and this is indeed a yokai. Despite being scary, it's not inherently evil, believe it or not. Some portray it as a protector, killing off bad enemies and bad spirits that will dare step anywhere near Neko. You'll often see ghostly cats with human expressions, magical powers, or shape shifting abilities, inspired directly by these legends. And honestly, one of the things that make it creepy is the cat kind of feel like it matches, real life, really. I mean, just look at the cat. Well, I'm not going to show my cat, but man, those things just be looking like they know more than they should. Rakurakupi. Now, this thing right here is one of the strangest yokai on this list, being that it typically disguises itself as a normal human, typically a woman, and she's also known to wed men. The human-like features on this yokai makes it very strange and disturbing. You're sleeping next to your wife, and all of a sudden, a snake neck pops out, and now you're dinner. She may live normal, a wife, servant, somebody just traveling, but she only travels with people who are totally unsuspecting to her true nature. Once she appears, her neck elongates, slithers, and wraps around, just like a giant serpent. But unlike giant creatures and monsters, they were frightened because they hid amongst typical humans. In doing so, they also became adept and well at human speech and human patterns and behaviors, allowing them to blend in with society and become the deadly yokai they are today. Anyone can secretly be one. Your wife, your child. We all carry the gene of Kurakubi. Others are dangerous predators that drink oil from lamps, spy on victims, or even consume the human blood. Consuming the blood is often how they're known to get their strength. Normally, the Normally, people who broke the moral or spiritual rules could unknowingly transform into one of these creatures while they were asleep. Keeping people based inside of their religion during the Japanese times, this served as a great tool to keep people in fear of also people with unsuspecting and hidden identities. The fear of transformation and the fear that unnatural can exist right amongst you and underneath your eyes. And all it took was one bad lapse in judgment to get you to turn into one of these powerful and malevolent yokai. No loud screaming, there's no giant demon. There's a person that talks just like me or you. Its neck then stretches and devour. One bite, enjoying all of the blood from the human host that it once inhabited. And then the snake then enters you, transforming and breeding another Rokukubi. Juro Gumo. The Spider Woman, the legend, the lady with 8 legs, the kind woman, the woman who only sleeps near waterfalls, only where she can build her web, like spiders. She smiles and have 8 eyes, but no one can see until it's too late. Dozens glowing behind her. Juro Gumo. Deep in the mountains of Japan, a traveler meets a beautiful woman living near a waterfall. Wink, wink. She seems kind, mysterious, almost too perfect, until you notice as you go behind the waterfall, staring at you, a bunch of glowing, red, terrifying eyes. Dozens of them. Jiragumo, the most dangerous, the most seductive. The Spider Woman. This woman builds bridges and connects, just like the spider does, except inside of the human mind, feasting on humans. Most stories portray her as living in forests, caves, or isolated homes near quiet civilizations. She targets lonely travelers, wandering samurai, and curious young men. Curious young men typically looking for a good time try to seduce the lady. The lady, which is a monster, Juragumo, then wraps them around and cages them in webs, dragging them home underneath the waterfall with a dozen of red eyes awaiting to appear. Eventually, the creature becomes associated with a simple legend because of the way that she's able to stalk humans. Basically, like spiders are often known to stalk their prey. She reflects old fears about temptation and hidden danger, keeping young men on the straight and narrow path, and also warning teenagers and young men about the traps of powerful, seductive ladies. Instead of pure evil, she's shown as a lonely, cursed spirit, trapped between human and monster worlds. That complexity helps the legend survive into this modern era, she's also spawned total maybe about 3, 4 movies and a few anime and manga as well, combining these psychological fears and horror by disguising herself as someone trustworthy, attractive, and worth your attention. Victims do not go walking into her trap. They don't even stumble into it. They're seduced into this trap, made into this layer to where they think they're about to mate with the special young lady until the special young lady wraps them up in a special surprise of her own, waiting to feed her family and harvest you to more eggs. I could be gripping up against the wall, leave your